What is up to all my gorgeous pretties out there? It is I, and it is time for your Monday meditation moment, Sunday version. So once upon a time, I was doing a show about 8 years ago back in New Jersey, and my director and close friend at the time, the one who actually was the impetus for us moving to Newark, he was the director of our show. He was actually also my neighbor. And anywho, we were deep in rehearsal, and one day he just didn't show up, and everybody thought that was weird. There was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And so at first I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, okay, he needs a break, whatever. It was getting to be a lot. And then the next day he didn't show up. And I had called him. Again, he was my neighbor, lived right around the corner, stone's throw away. Didn't answer, left him messages. And then on the third day, someone came in and said that he was in the hospital. One of his friends came in and said that he was in the hospital. And then literally it was either the next day or the day after that, he died. It was literally, a shock. Just, it happened so fast. There was no forewarning. There was literally nothing. One day he was here, the next day he wasn't. And that was in 2017, actually. Just complete blow, a complete blow. We finished the show with our other director of the other production company that was working in tandem with the company that he ran. But we ended up having his funeral. It was just, again, it was a beautiful service, all of that. But it was such a weird experience because, again, one day he was here, the next day he wasn't, and there was no sign, no inclination that he was sick, anything. I mean, he was perfectly like, I'm right here, right now, vibrant, his flamboyant self. And then the next day he was dead. And anywho, there were a number of complications that I didn't know about, and that's the thing, you never know what somebody is going through. But he ended up having a very rare but serious infection, and he passed away. But all of that to say that experience really made me question myself, my life, what I wanted my legacy to be. And it was because of the way that his celebration of life was presented in the city of Newark. I mean, literally the whole city shut down for him. We had his service at NJPAC. It was, the mayor was there, Ross Baraka, shout out you. But it was such a beautiful thing. It was so beautiful, and he loved Newark. He loved the city, but he loved the work that he did. He was a very passionate organizer. He was a passionate performer. He was a passionate artist, and artists shape the world. And again, he was the reason why I moved to Newark in the first place. And it was a big deal. It was a big deal that he died. It was a big deal the way that he died and how suddenly that he died. Rest in peace, Rodney. And so because of this, I started thinking about how I wanted to be remembered, what I wanted my legacy to be, how I wanted people to remember me. And as I was thinking this, I write about this in my book, Godward, 99 Reasons to Love You. I asked God, like, what do you want from me? How do you want me to be remembered? What is my true purpose here in life? Because I felt like I was on the path. I felt like I was walking my path as I had been informed to walk thus far. And again, that moment just really humbled me and made me take a step back and pause. And so I asked God, what do you want from me? And then I had an Uber driver that day or the next day after I had, been marinating on this question. And as they do, you get in the car, they're like, what's your name? I'm like, Aaliyah. and he's an Arab driver. And he goes, Aaliyah, that's not your name. Your name is Aaliyah. And I'm like, yeah, it's American version. And he's like, no, you make them say your name. Aaliyah, Aaliyah. You put the ah. And in Arabic, it is 2 letters for the A. It's Ayn and Alif together. And so it just reminded me of my my Sunday school teacher who told me the same thing. Like, no, you make them say your name. Your name is Aliyah. And so, I've been called Aliyah, Ali. My family calls me Ali. My mom, called me Ali, called me, Ali, all the nicknames, Ali Boumaier, and Aliyah. Which again, the American tongue is not the Arab tongue. And so you get accustomed to how people say your name, even though, I answer to both and all. Call me Ali, call me Aliyah, call me Aliyah, call me whatever. Don't call me whatever. Don't call me whatever, but you get what I'm saying. So the point was that, if you know how to say it correctly, how God says it, then you say it how God would say it. And Aliyah is the feminine form of Ali, Al-Ali, the exalted, which is one of the names of God. And so I emailed my parents and I said, I think God is calling me higher. God is calling me higher. I don't know what that means, but I have to abide by this, and I want you guys to try to call me Aliyah. And it was a whole big thing, not in a bad way, but again, when people get accustomed to their way of saying it. And again, I have my family nicknames too. I love being called Ali because it makes me feel loved. It makes me feel like my mom, my dad, my family. But again, I also go by my full name. But the point being that I wanted to be the highest version of myself. And I wanted to leave behind the highest version of myself. And so people think, oh, you talk about God and you do this or you do that. And you actually don't know what I do or who I am. And people try to pick apart, the things that you do. Oh, I wrote a book and I therefore promote the book that I wrote because it's not about God, so to speak. It's about how you embody the characteristics, the attributes of God in your life. It is a book of development. It is a book of personal growth. Yes, God is the foundation, as he is the foundation of my life, of the foundation of the universe, but that's another story. But the point is that people think, oh, well, you do this and you do that, and you aren't walking as a quote unquote Muslim should, or they just try to judge you and pick apart what they think you should be, how you should be, and they don't even know anything about your religion, number one, but they also don't know anything about you. And so all of this to say, you can't take things personal. That's one of the 4 agreements from who wrote the 4 agreements? Miguel Ruiz? I'll fact check that. But one of the 4 agreements, never take anything personal, because people are only projecting their own insecurities onto you. You have to follow your life course. You have to follow your mission.